Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video will be both a collection video and review and a haul. So the haul will be at the end. We will save the best for last. I'm essentially going to show you my Sentaler Coat collection in chronological order, starting with the first one that I purchased right after the Duchess of Cambridge came to Canada. Now that's actually an unusual pattern for me because I don't normally jump on celebrity clothing bandwagons. I don't think I've ever, purchased something that I've seen someone wear like right away and I wanted the exact same thing pretty much. That's really, really rare for me. But it had also been such a long time since I had seen a coat that had really gotten my juices flowing that I thought was really different. Previous to that, I was all about the Burberry trench coat. I still have my good old Kensington Burberry trench coat and it has served me so well. And so I think of these coats in a similar manner. They're really durable. They're perfect in terms of weight for the West Coast climate here, a little bit warmer than my trench coat for sure. Perfect way to get through the fall, winter, and spring here, depending on what I wear underneath. So that's why these coats are such a good fit for me. Really what got me started with the Sentaler Coat obsession is the rib sleeve, because there's no other brand that I know of that does this kind of texture on the sleeves. So you can see they're very, very textured and they've got just this beautiful ribbing going all the way down, and I just love how that looks. I think it's really well designed in that it doesn't really add a lot of bulk to your arms magically because the coat is not lined. So as a result of that, it is thin and warm and it's got a lot of texture, but it doesn't add a lot of bulk to your outfit. So you can use it as a layering piece really, really well. So this is the short wrap coat. It is their classic original style and it's in alpaca wool. So a moment about alpaca wool, if you're not familiar with it, first of all, you need to look at the creature itself. They are the cutest things ever. They look like a combination between a giraffe and a sheep. And I actually met some at a bed and breakfast in Niagara-on-the-Lake this summer, and we had a special moment. And it just got me really interested in alpaca because when I bought this coat 2 years ago now, I didn't really know that much about alpacas, so it really has been a learning experience for me. And I won't bore you too much about alpaca facts, but they're just really interesting. They need to be shorn like sheep. Their fur is somewhat similar to sheep's wool, but it's a lot softer. So it's a really nice alternative to wool if you've never really liked wool sweaters. I'm not really a big wool person. I'm more of a cashmere person. So it has a lot of the softness of cashmere, but it tends to be spun in a way that is a little bit heavier and more textured, and so therefore you get that softness, but it's also warmer and harder wearing as well than cashmere is. So it's a good middle ground in between cashmere and sheep's wool. I have to attest to the quality of it. The one thing I would say, and I specifically didn't lint this for this video, although I regularly do lint it, I would say that the nubbliness and texture of it does attract fur a little bit. So I've got a white cat, so on the black coat you can definitely see some of that, and it does tend to attract a little bit of lint from sweaters as well, but I don't mind that because most of my other clothing is covered in fur anyway, being a fur parent of a very fluffy kitten currently walking around behind the camera. So yeah, I've just loved this coat, and I have to say, although I originally was very much on the fence about what color to get, I'm glad that I started with the black because this has been my most worn coat by far compared to anything since I've gotten it, and I've worn it in pretty much any climate. It works really well under the rain. Believe it or not, alpaca wool seems to repel water quite well. So of course if it's pouring and you don't have an umbrella, you're still gonna get soaked, but it doesn't seem to really imbibe a lot of moisture, and it really keeps the cold air out as well, which is why I think, even though I think of it as a coat that's perfect for more of a West Coast climate, I think you could make it work with layering for a colder climate as well, because when I wear it, I really don't feel the humidity or air coming through it at all, despite the fact that it's not lined. They got the length perfect. The sizing is a little bit funny in that their different styles fit a little bit differently. So I get a small in the wrap coat and I fit in the extra small. I could buy it, but I like wearing it with a thicker sweater sometimes, or with a scarf around here around the bust. Then with the extra small, which doesn't really have as much overlap on the front of your body. So that's why I choose a small. I have to say for this style, there isn't a huge difference between those two sizes. It's like maybe this much overlap at the front, and it still will overlap in the extra small, but just not as much. So I prefer the small size. Now fast forward a year later, I was still lusting over Sentaler Coats, being so happy with my first purchase. I'd worn it so much, like I said, more than any other coat that I own, that I decided that I did want to get a long coat from them as well. And I got this in the late fall by the time it got to me, of 2017, and I am so happy with it. It is actually significantly softer than the wrap coat. The alpaca blend for this has a little bit of a different feel, so it's more of a smooth kind of wool coat feel. If you've been into Maxmara and touched their coats, I have to say, even though they're not alpaca, it's very similar feeling. So the blend for this one is actually 70% baby alpaca, 30% merino wool. So it's a blend, and it creates a really soft, smooth feel to it that's a little bit different than the original wrap coat. So if you're into, you know, just like a really classic camel coat, this one will probably be a better fit for you, especially given the lining as well. I know that that's something that's really important for some, especially in a professional environment, although I have to say I'm kind of somewhat of an unlined coat believer as a result of this one, but it depends what you're looking for. This one is definitely a little bit more polished and dressy looking, less kind of like cozy. Still has the ribbed detailing, but I have to say you don't get as much texture on the hooded mid-length coat, that's the name of this one, because it's more of a smooth blend. Everything tends to like kind of lay more flat. So I kind of sometimes wish that you had a little bit more texture going on at the sleeves, and the reason for that is that I feel like it's less kind of it's got less of that Sentaler feel to it because of that. It's more of like just a classic wrap coat. What differentiates this one from, you know, any other brand and kind of made it worth the price for me, other than the fact that I was really happy with the quality of my first purchase, is the hood. It's a very large hood, but if you button up the coat this way, across the chest, it really gathers in the hood, and so it doesn't look as large anymore, and you really get that nice flattering face effect. My one disappointment with the coat is that if you don't do that, if you don't button it and you just wear it as a wrap, like an open wrap coat, the hood is just so large at the back that it tends to really create a lot of volume at your back that might, I don't know, it just looks a little bit different than most hooded coats. It's definitely like a large hood on it, and it does create a kind of shawl-like effect that you can kind of tuck in and, you know, kind of make it look nice. But I do find that it looks its best when it's buttoned up, and I feel like I didn't fully realize that when I purchased it. I think I would purchase it again because it's just such a good camel coat, and I'm always very grateful for the hood on rainy days. And what I said for the black one, I would say also holds for this one, in that it surprises me how water repellent it is. I would not say it's waterproof by any means, but nonetheless it is appropriate for a kind of wetter climate because it doesn't tend to really absorb the humidity, and I feel very warm with it on, even on the coldest kind of unpleasant day. We've definitely had some of those this past season, and so yeah, I don't know, I'm really happy with it. I wouldn't necessarily say that it has quenched my thirst for an eventual Maxmara coat at some point in my life, but it's a fraction of the cost of a Maxmara coat. It's in between, price point wise, between like a Burberry Brit and a Maxmara coat, so it's very pricey still. I'll list all the prices in the info bar down below in Canadian dollars and US dollars. This is a Canadian company. They have their own website based in Canada, but they are also now available at Neiman Marcus and Bergdorf's as well. So you've got some choices, and I should mention as well, even though I went for the camel, and you'll see that my taste for the colors tend to gravitate towards the more classic, they do have some beautiful colors. They had a garnet in this coat that I was very tempted by. They tend to have some beautiful blues as well, and they tend to come out with some pretty pastels for spring that I really like too. So I went with the camel, and I'm very happy with that choice. For me, I think it makes sense to get slightly more classic colors, just given the price point of the coats, although never say never. If they come out with a color, like a bright color or something like that that I really loved, I would probably go for it. So that's my review for Sentaler Coats. I guess I would definitely say, like, this is by far, you know, like their signature piece. It's so unique. I'm delighted with it. It continues to be like my most worn coat, even just going into spring. Although it's black, I still wear it a ton. This piece is a really nice, beautiful camel coat. If you're looking for a hooded coat and you want something that's going to be a little bit more of an investment, I think it's a great choice. It might not be perfect design-wise, but keep in mind, as a designer myself, I'm always really picky. I'm always going to have something to say about, you know, any designs. So for those of you who watched my designer luxury shopping list, you will know that I was planning on getting a third one, and I've been thinking about this coat for quite a long time, and it's definitely a purchase that is based on how much I have loved my black one and how much wear I have gotten out of it, like dollar for dollar. It's been such a good purchase, and so I decided to get another one in the same style but a different color, and it's going to be no surprise to you who have seen that video which color that is. So this is hot off the rack at Nordstrom, because although they don't have it online in my store here in Vancouver, they do carry it in the store. They don't have a ton of selection, but because this is one of the original super popular colors, they did have it. So in order to be able to kind of make this video, you know, in time for spring and everything like that, I decided to do that instead of ordering it online, although, you know, the price is the same, so it was of no particular benefit to me. So here it is. It's still tag on, and it's got that really nice kind of pressed look to it still, being unworn, and it is in the color Gull Grey, and you're seeing it in natural light here. I would say it's pretty accurate. It's a pale gray. If you own one of my Highland Mist scarves or have seen them on my website, it's a really pretty similar color. It's a pale gray with a hint of blue. It's really nice and soft against the skin. It's not as hard on the skin as a heather gray. It just somehow has a little bit of warmth to it, kind of like, it's a little bit reminiscent of clay. It's about, I think, 2 shades darker than my Highland Mist scarf, which I think for a coat is a good thing. It looks really nice with that scarf on, but it also looks really nice with pretty much any color. So imagine it with like a nice navy or any like kind of springtime pastel. It would look so gorgeous with a blush or a lavender, 2 colors that I'm obviously really into right now for the spring season. But again, I would prefer to get a gray coat and then do like kind of blush and lavender accessories rather than get a coat that's a more unusual color and might be a little bit harder to wear. And I have every intention of wearing this to work, as I have with the black one. For my workplace, it's kind of the perfect level of formality. We all are a little bit leaning towards comfort in our office wear choices. And yeah, I don't know, I get a lot of compliments on it from colleagues and people, even just on the street. I wouldn't say that it's really that well known as the Kate coat or anything like that, even though this is the exact color that she wore. I think people just kind of gravitate towards the ribbing. So I get a ton of compliments with my black one on the rib sleeves. The associate that helped me at Nordstrom did know that this was the Kate Middleton coat. So I think really what happens is people have a general familiarity with the design and are drawn towards the ribbing because it's such a beautiful kind of texture and it's so interesting. But your average person isn't going to know that it's the Duchess of Cambridge coat. You know, it's just, I don't know. It depends what you're into, I guess. If you're a fashion person, then you'll know. I don't know. I'm so excited to have this. I've been definitely wanting it for quite a while, and the fact that I was on the fence about getting like black versus gray originally so much, to me really tells me that I will get a ton of wear out of the gray one as well. I think it'll be great for spring and fall especially, but also winter. Here I tend to wear a lot of colors that have kind of gray tones during the winter too. So, you know, I told you guys that I was really, you know, thinking of this as my spring coat. I don't think I will buy another coat than this for the spring season, so this is really going to see me through. So those are my thoughts about Sentaler. Here's my Sentaler family all together. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Definitely a niche kind of video about a very sort of up-and-coming brand. I follow them on Instagram. I think the founder, Bojana Sentaler, is a really interesting person. She is actually gearing the brand towards England now, so they're going to be shown in England for the first time. They're expanding all over the place into online retailers. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of this brand if you haven't heard of it before. Over the next year or so, they're, I think, going to go a lot bigger, and they've been doing really well pretty much since it started to be seen on celebrities. Meghan Markle also wore a slightly different version of this coat for Christmas Day as well. Insert a picture here. It's the version that doesn't have the hood and is significantly longer. You know, kind of keeps the warmth in more as well. So if you'd like to see my next video, make sure that you give this one a like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next installment on style. Bye!